perhaps a year and a half ago, I was watching a show called Spycraft, and it was interesting overall. It was more about the art of or agencies and spying and all that. Their last episode was talking about cyber being used as a tool for espionage. And yes, it went through a lot of detail, how the evolution from more an analog to people, it turned out into more network-based tapping on the phones, and how cyber has grown into the what we know now, becoming almost a tool the military can use to disrupt or um, you know attack somebody. We've seen some of that as the components of some of the warfare today includes cyber warfare as well. So in this spycraft Netflix documentary, there was this guy called he was a retired CIA, James Gosler, and he was sharing very and very nonchalant this scary story I want to tell you about. It's not necessarily a scary story; it's more of a scary situation. It could be possible. I'm going to call it is a very low likelihood this will happen, but high impact to the point where this guy, um, Mr. James Gosler, call it potentially catastrophic. So he obviously is being asked a lot of these questions, like what's the worst it could get? And using his own words, he says, "I use the words catastrophic and existential related to the loss of everything." When you say everything, think about your own life. We have electricity, it's usually stable. We have natural gas coming to our homes usually to heat, and think about water. Your local municipality or local private company providing you with water is pretty much something we take for granted. So he was saying, imagine that doesn't exist, and it's due to a cyber event. um, I'm quoting him here. The most people can survive, or families, let's put it this way, it's perhaps a week or two, and having to survive without the what we take for granted, water, electricity, natural gas, um, and how is that we are vulnerable in some ways to the attack to cyber cyber attack to cyber sorry the cyber attack to a critical infrastructure. um, we have I mean, the government here considers critical infrastructure to a series of industries that without it we would be in trouble. So this is a scary situation. This is something that usually a topic is conversations on government and how to respond to something like that, but it's maybe something you ought to consider in your day to day. COVID, the last 2 years have been perhaps the closest thing you can get to a understanding of like what happens when you know I have to go and get my groceries through a order online pickup at the parking lot. What if that is not even available? You know, so I guess the moral of this potential scenario is what are you doing to be prepared? I'm not necessarily advocating for becoming a prepper, but just to think about those things. The other day, a related story would be um, my family has a cell phone plan and it was acquired by another company, and the transition, um, the billing I guess system did not catch up the charge to the credit card, so they just discontinue service. I couldn't get a hold of anybody. They couldn't get a hold of anybody unless they go to a Wi-Fi area where you can use other means of communication like email to communicate. So think about that. If we tomorrow wouldn't have a way to be able to call each other, how do we stay in touch with people? You know, so maybe thinking about those type of scenarios will help you to be prepared for when there's a possibility like my family and I had the other day where we cannot call each other because our phone is turned off or the service is turned off.